I've got one more adjustment tip for you when you're setting up your saw when you first got it, or right now if you haven't done it yet. This is to make sure that your fence gauge is actually accurate, and you can adjust that. Now, the way that you check to make sure that it's measuring properly, you see I have a square that's set up alongside the saw. It's best if you do this with the saw up, because then you'll have more saw to judge against. It just makes error less likely. And you also want to make sure whatever measuring tool you're using is set so that it is right above the center of the saw. A couple of reasons for that, but most importantly, it's a little bit stiffer if you're in the middle of the saw, and you want to make sure that when you are setting your measuring tool, in my case it's just a metal ruler, into place, that it lines up with your square so that you know that it is perfectly perpendicular to the saw. That's the only way you're going to have a measurement that's accurate, because you want this ruler to be lined up with this ruler so that they're parallel to each other. Okay, when you've got that, make sure that when you are setting your fence into position that you give it a little bit of a tap to snug it up. But don't push too hard, because if you do, your saw blade can bend a little bit. You don't want to do that. And hopefully it'll be lined up where your red hash mark lines up with, in this case, the 12-inch position. You've got 12 inches on the right side of the saw, 10 inches on the left side of the saw that you can measure to. So I'm going to lock that down in that position. I'm confident that mine is accurate because I've already made this adjustment. If you have not, there is a Phillips head screw right here that you can make this adjustment for. So you just loosen it up like any old screw and it will slide side to side. You see that you can adjust how it reads to make sure that it's actually giving you the reading that it's supposed to be. And once you've done that, once you've certified that your red mark lines up with your inches mark, which lines up with whatever measurement you took, you've got a fence that you can trust. And hopefully that'll be the last you have to deal with that, as long as you set your screw properly. Make sure that you don't tighten that down too hard. I imagine you could crack that plastic. So only set it tight enough that you're sure it's not going to wiggle. Well, hopefully this has been useful to you. I'll see you next time.